Jo man. Dankjewel.
Oké, dankjewel.
Doei hè. Alright, so here it is. Supposedly there should be a Legion 5 Pro inside this box. I'm gonna be unboxing it, and in advance I will be apologizing for maybe some shaky videos. I just worked out, and of course I'm very excited on this box and what's inside it. Just before we start, I want to say that this is the Legion 5 Pro in Holland, ordered in Holland, the 82JQ007 JMH, which is, yeah, I think the Dutch version. Versions differ in different countries, considering the keyboard layout, and I don't believe that this one has RGB LED lighting, but we'll soon find out. Let's just start unboxing this baby here. Got my box cutter ready, so let's go. When you unbox, you make sure to have your knife on the smallest. You don't want to damage anything. I think this is still a little bit too much. I don't want to damage this. So look, it's just like a millimeter, which is enough to cut it. Just gonna go for wide view. Alright, let's just turn it around. That's a nice transport box right over there. Definitely feels heavy. Oh, there we go. Look at that. Probably a power brick on the right. How to open this? Here. So yeah, this is the power brick. And a sticker. This is the cable that goes inside the power brick and in your wall socket. This is the power brick. 300 watt with a square plug. I'm gonna compare it to the old laptop I have over here. It's quite a lot smaller. And this is Consumo de Energía 148.3 watts. We've come a long way. So basically a 150 watt block compared to the 300 watt block. So that's for the charger. Well, it's some manuals, I think. Yeah, getting started manual and the warranty card. So it's not too much, which is good. So here it is. And, a very nice cloth. Let's open it up here. Just gonna put you down for a moment. This is it. This is the back side of the Legion 5 Pro. It looks like it has, this is for power, this looks like a USB and HDMI, another 2 USB and a C port, and the Ethernet cable port all in the back. That's better. Got big ventilation shafts over here, which is required for cooling, and so it's not just optics. It really is functional. Some people complain about the profile of this laptop. It's very angly. It's like, I don't know, I think I could compare it with a Lamborghini. You know, very neat angles, but it's also, it does have a function. At least this is for cooling, because it's a, let's just say it's a 140 watt RDX 3070 in here, which can get that can go very hot together with the CPU, the AMD Ryzen 5 5800H. And it can withstand temperatures of 90 plus degrees Celsius. And on performance mode, this will probably make some noise, but it will also keep it cool. It's one of the first RTX 3070s that can actually get to that wattage. Now let's see, what do we have on the sides here? I think some aux audio, another USB-C port. On this side, another USB-C port, so there is definitely some on the side. I believe this switch over here is for connecting and disconnecting the webcam physically, so that's a really nice feature. And you know for sure you're pretty safe. I'm gonna use two hands to turn it around. The Legion logo, maybe it's RGB lit, I don't know. So let's just open it. There we go. I think that's a little bit dust over there. Ooh, it's static. I'm not gonna touch the screen with my fingers just yet. Too careful with it. All right. Some from Lenovo Holland. Premium care thingy. And here we have the laptop. I'm not gonna flex the screen. It looks like an aluminium case. It's an aluminium case, very premium on the touch. This is not a plasticky thing. Basically, this is aluminium. Well, it's brushed aluminum. What is it, aluminum or aluminium? But this one actually feels colder, and probably because this is on, but this definitely feels more sleek. Look at the difference though. I mean, this is the Y700 15.4 inch and this is the Legion 5 Pro. It's much bigger, the Y700. Well, much bigger, it's quite a lot bigger. They actually made it quite compact, but that's of course because of the technological difference in time. This is like a, what is it, 6-year-old laptop? And this is of course brand new. All right, let's take a quick look underneath. May sound boring, but there is a cooling grill walking all the way from the left to the right. And underneath it is Cold Front 3.0 from Lenovo. The reason why I point this out, in this pretty small housing, we all know the size of the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox Series X is also quite a large machine, and they are both, one is 10.3 teraflops, the Series X is 12.1. This one is actually quite comparable in graphics power. I think even a little bit stronger. I heard people say around 14. I don't know if this is true, but it definitely is comparable. And it's in such a small chassis. And it has a very powerful CPU in there as well, the AMD Ryzen 7 5800 to be exact, which can get extremely hot. So you don't have the large chassis, and the ventilators are also quite small, and they did something quite incredible on this laptop. I'm gonna put some links in the description. It will direct you to the YouTube links of a few people, YouTubers, that actually compared some specs on it. And as you can see here, when you use the function key plus Q, you can actually switch it to 3 different modes. The blue one is quiet mode or whisper mode. The white mode is obviously auto, and red is performance mode. And the YouTuber actually made a video comparing 3 settings, and you're not gonna believe how powerful it still is in quiet mode and how cool it can actually run under full load in quiet mode without a laptop cooler. So that's, yeah, quite unique for such a small chassis. And yeah, we've come a really long way. This is a pretty interesting piece. On paper it's good, but as you just watch the videos in the YouTube description, you'll also see it's really powerful on cooling in real life as well. It just works in theory and on paper and in practice. All right, one other thing to point out is this is a 16:10 ratio display instead of the usual 16:9. So it's quite, it's a little bit longer, as you can compare it directly to the Y700, which is a 16:9 ratio. You can clearly see the left one is wider than the right one. The right one has more height to it, which makes it easier for doing productivity tasks on it. Also, I think gaming will be quite interesting on this as well. I've never played on the 1610. I also did a little bit of research because if you guys wanted to know how many pixels there are in this display, it's a Quad HD display. So here on Wikipedia you can see the Quad HD article. We got a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is 3.69 megapixels, and 16:10 ratio is a 3.32 megapixels. So there is a little bit less megapixels than on a 16:9 screen, which I shouldn't worry about it because this is a minimal amount of number. And compare it to 1080p. 1080p is basically like 2 million or like 2.1 megapixel. So it's a good megapixel more than 1920 by 1080. It has like 5 less megapixels than 4K. As a gamer, this is not a problem because 1440 is just, you can really see the bouncing quality without actually having to output 8 million pixels, which is pretty taxing on the machine. Theoretically, you could hook up a 4K monitor on it and it would run it smoothly depending on the game. It will, however, yeah, definitely you will notice more or less frames per second, basically. It's pretty taxing, still 4K. It handles it, but if you really want to have a smooth experience, you better play it Quad HD. And the graphics card inside the 3070 RTX, this is the beautiful part of it. It can actually go to 140 watts. This is very important when buying a laptop. If it says RTX 3060, 3070, it doesn't really mean anything yet. Yes, the architecture may be the same, but one company basically says, all right, we can't put 140 watt 3070 in that chassis because it will run too hot. We can't do that. It will start to throttle. It will bring you a horrible experience. So they actually undervolt the graphics card. So if you are buying a laptop, make sure to check out the specs of the graphics card. How many watts is this? This is basically a 125 watt with a 15 watt boost, making a total of 140. Right now, this is probably the most powerful 3070 there is. It's better to have a 140 watt 3060 RTX than to have a 3070 RTX with only 80 watts. This is really a big difference. You know, architecture is important, but make sure that architecture is powered by some, a lot of watts. It's really important because you pay for it. And these machines are pretty expensive, and yeah, make sure you do your homework. Now, about the CPUs in these laptops, you can choose, of course, Intel or AMD. AMD has done a really great job on their CPUs. They basically have like comparable CPUs to Intel right now at the moment, even better, while they are cheaper. On paper, but we are dealing with a corona crisis. There is a lack of GPUs, a lack of CPUs on the market, so prices are inflating. It really is difficult to get your hands on either one of them. But basically, AMD is right now, as we speak, the cheaper and better processor. This was an Intel, by the way, and in that time, Intel was actually better than AMD. So it's a battle. So, the most important one is the GPU, the graphics processing unit. The CPU just is like your second choice. Also depends on what kind of tasks you're doing. If you're not gaming all that much, if it's just a side business, then you might want maybe a little bit faster CPU. But both are. Intel and AMD both are good, but especially AMD has done some awesome work on their Ryzen series this year. So make sure to look out for that. The RGB lighting on this, I don't know if it actually has RGB lighting. I don't think so. Let's just turn it on. And of course it doesn't turn on. The battery's zeroed. So I'm gonna put the charger in, just turn it on. Here we go. It's not RGB, I believe. So in Holland, that model I said at the start of the video, that model does not have RGB lighting. It's white, and so keep in mind, it's not standard. The Legion 5 Pro also comes standard with a mux switch. With a mux switch you can bypass the iGPU, go directly to the dedicated GPU, the 3070 in this case, which will boost extra performance in GPU demanding games. Definitely use that mux switch for when you're gaming on this laptop, and when you're gaming on an external monitor, also use the dedicated graphic card by using this mux switch, as well as doing office tasks, light work and office tasks. If you just want to have more battery and don't game on it, you can actually switch it back. And just shut off the screen from the 3070 completely, and you will have a long-lasting battery life. The 3070, basically it has 8 gigabytes of RAM, which is like 2 gigabytes more than the 3060. This is basically the main reason I wanted the 3070. The 3060 is actually a good graphics card, but I didn't like the fact that it only had like 6 gigabytes of RAM. It might run into some problems because we're already at the moment talking about games when you put it onto Ultra, which basically the 3060 and 3070 theoretically could run Ultra, but they're limited. The 3060 is limited in VRAM. It only has 6 gigabytes. So like for example, games of Cyberpunk, it will already start to push the limits of the 3060, which I think that's really early. Cyberpunk definitely is a heavy game. It's an exceptionally heavy game. But yeah, to have a laptop that already is getting limited, I'm not saying the people who bought the 3060 have made a wrong decision. It's a very good laptop. It can run high numbers, but if you really want a little bit more future-proofing, basically the 2 gigabytes were it. And this is why I spend the extra few hundred. Normally I wouldn't do it. Spend extra on the 3070, a 3060 series usually is very good. But yeah, in this case, it was for me reason enough to buy the extra 2 gigabytes of virtual RAM. Okay, so usually when you buy a laptop, you have Windows installed. You have a lot of programs installed on it that you might not really need, and you can remove it. It's called bloatware. In this case, make sure to remove only the real bloatware, because you might think that you don't need a few programs on here. Especially if you never bought a Lenovo laptop before, there are some programs on it that you might not use, but there are some programs that you really shouldn't be deleting. Like for example, Lenovo Vantage. It's like a control panel for all the functions of this laptop, which comes with this Lenovo laptop. And if you remove that, for example, you wouldn't be able to use the power modes. So don't delete Lenovo Vantage. I also have good experience with one key recovery. This is basically like a reset, but it will restore it to a certain point where you yeah, basically the recovery point that you set up. These are programs, just find it out for yourself if you really, these are just programs you don't want to remove. Just find out on the internet if it's good to remove it or not. Some programs, they might not mean much to you, but they actually are important to have on your laptop computer. And probably there are also some programs you're never going to use. Just check out on the internet if it's important and just remove it if the guys on the internet say, you know, you don't need it. So basically that's it. So I'm going to remove myself some bloatware now and start to explore this baby out and throw all the stuff from this computer to that computer. And I wish you all a very nice day. If you like this content, if you want to watch me actually play on this Lenovo 5 Pro in the near future, because I'm having a holiday soon, then make sure to subscribe to my channel and like this video if you found it useful. And stay safe, guys.